Back with the Fox News alert, authorities are still trying to determine how Hollywood legend Jean Hackman and his wife Betsy died. Police said yesterday the pair tested negative for carbon monoxide poisoning, and officials now think Hackman may have died 9 days before his body was found.
Jean Hackman, the legendary actor celebrated for iconic roles in The French Connection and Unforgiven, and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their expansive New Mexico mansion, shocking both Hollywood and fans around the world. At first glance, it seemed like a quiet passing, a natural end to a long life, but investigators quickly realized the scene was far from ordinary. The mansion was filled with unusual details. The front door wide open, 2 pets roaming freely, and a third found deceased in a crate. Hackman and Betsy's bodies showed clear signs of decomposition and mummification, suggesting they had been gone for an extended period before discovery. Questions immediately arose. How could a couple so well known remain unnoticed for so long? What had happened during their final days, behind the closed doors of their home? Every detail hinted at a story far more complex and mysterious than anyone had imagined. When authorities, including the FBI, arrived at Hackman's mansion, they were stunned by what they found. The couple's bodies were discovered in separate rooms, each showing evidence of prolonged decay. The unusual positioning and condition of the bodies created confusion, leaving investigators questioning the timeline of events. Scattered pills, a knocked-over space heater, and the survival of 2 pets alongside the death of a third added to the puzzle. Even experienced investigators described the scene as extraordinary, almost like time had frozen inside the home. Nothing about the environment made sense initially, from the open front door to the lack of forced entry or visible injuries. As officials began piecing together the clues, it became clear that Hackman's final days and the circumstances surrounding his death alongside Betsy were far from ordinary, sparking intense curiosity and speculation both in Hollywood and among the public. The initial discovery was made by 2 maintenance workers who arrived for routine work at the mansion. They immediately noticed the front door wide open and 2 of the couple's dogs roaming freely across the property. One dog, however, was found deceased in a crate, a detail that raised immediate concern about how long the household had been unattended. The workers quickly realized something was wrong and called authorities. Every small observation, the open door, the pet's condition, and the unusual silence of the home hinted at a timeline that did not make sense. Investigators were now tasked with reconstructing the final days of Hackman and Betsy, a challenge complicated by the unusual state of the property. Each clue seemed to deepen the mystery, leaving both law enforcement and the public captivated by what could have happened to one of Hollywood's most iconic actors and his devoted wife. The condition of the bodies added an unsettling layer to the investigation. Hackman and Betsy were found in separate rooms, already showing significant decomposition and mummification, indicating they had likely been dead for days, if not weeks. Investigators described the scene as extraordinary and almost impossible to interpret at first glance. One insider explained that while encountering deceased individuals is part of the job, the level of decay and the unusual separation of the couple's bodies were unlike anything they had seen. Every aspect of the scene, from the scattered pills to the pets wandering freely, added complexity to the case. The timeline, the positioning of the bodies, and the environment of the mansion all suggested that understanding what truly happened would require careful analysis and patience, keeping both the investigators and the public in suspense about Hackman and Betsy's final moments. Betsy Arakawa was discovered in the bathroom, her body lying near a countertop where pills were scattered across the surface and an open prescription bottle sat nearby. The sight immediately sparked questions and theories. Was this an accidental overdose, a medical emergency, or something more mysterious? Investigators could not find a clear answer, and nothing fit neatly into one explanation. The unusual arrangement of the scene suggested a story hidden in the details. The knocked-over space heater, the scattered medication, and the state of the room all hinted at distress or confusion in Betsy's final moments. This small but striking evidence complicated the investigation, leaving authorities with more questions than answers. Even for seasoned professionals, understanding how she had died alongside Hackman in separate rooms seemed nearly impossible, adding a layer of intrigue that would captivate the public for weeks. Jean Hackman was found in a smaller room near the back door of the mansion, with his cane and sunglasses lying nearby. The separation of the couple's bodies raised immediate questions about the sequence of events. Had one of them died first, leaving the other alone and struggling? Or did some unseen environmental factor contribute to both deaths at nearly the same time? Investigators considered every possibility, aware that the unusual circumstances could hide crucial clues. The combination of Hackman's frail state, Betsy's scattered pills, and the strange environment of the house made the investigation a complex puzzle. Every detail, no matter how small, could reveal insight into their final days, and each unanswered question only intensified the mystery surrounding the passing of one of Hollywood's most celebrated actors and his devoted wife. One of the first theories investigators considered was carbon monoxide poisoning. The presence of a space heater in Betsy's room made the idea seem plausible, as toxic fumes could have accumulated unnoticed. Family members even mentioned the possibility, citing the home's heating setup and potential for hazardous air exposure. However, thorough inspections by the gas company found no leaks, and fire officials confirmed the house was free of carbon monoxide hazards. With this theory eliminated, authorities had to reconsider every other possibility. The initial assumption of accidental poisoning was replaced by a deeper, more perplexing mystery, leaving investigators with the challenging task of uncovering how a healthy 95-year-old man and his 63-year-old wife could die in separate rooms without any clear environmental cause. The dismissed theory only intensified public curiosity. With carbon monoxide ruled out, authorities expanded their investigation to include all potential scenarios: natural causes, accidental death, or foul play. Every element of the mansion was examined carefully: the open door, the scattered pills, the space heater, and the condition of the pets. Investigators knew that even the smallest detail could be critical in reconstructing the timeline of Hackman and Betsy's final days. Each possibility was weighed against the evidence, yet nothing fully explained the situation. The combination of mystery, high-profile individuals, and unusual circumstances kept both the public and investigators intensely engaged. As authorities worked tirelessly, the puzzle of Hackman and Betsy's deaths grew more complex, raising questions about health, environment, and the quiet moments leading up to their untimely passing. A veteran investigator emphasized just how rare a situation like this truly is. Two adults, seemingly healthy, dying nearly simultaneously in separate rooms is almost unheard of in law enforcement. The anomaly baffled even the most experienced professionals, prompting them to consider every detail with extreme care. The unusual separation of Hackman and Betsy's bodies, combined with the scattered pills and environment clues, made it difficult to determine the order of events or the precise cause of death. Investigators noted that cases like this often require patience and meticulous attention to detail, as a single overlooked element can change the interpretation entirely. For the public, the strangeness of the scene heightened fascination, with fans speculating about hidden truths behind the lives of one of Hollywood's most iconic actors and his devoted wife. Gene Hackman's career spanned more than 80 films, earning him accolades and widespread recognition for his exceptional talent. His performance in The French Connection won him an Academy Award for Best Actor, and he later received another Oscar for Unforgiven, solidifying his legacy as one of Hollywood's finest. Known for his ability to bring complex, layered characters to life, Hackman captivated audiences with his intensity and versatility. Whether portraying resolute police officers, cunning villains, or nuanced dramatic figures, he delivered each role with authenticity and depth. Beyond the awards and fame, Hackman earned the respect of colleagues and critics alike, leaving behind a body of work that continues to influence actors and filmmakers. His contributions to cinema were as remarkable as the mystery surrounding his final days. Hackman's versatility as an actor was one of his defining qualities. He could effortlessly move between intense drama, sharp comedy, and high-stakes action, often in the same year. In Get Shorty, he showcased a brilliant sense of humor, while in The Conversation he explored guilt, paranoia, and emotional depth with subtle precision. Roles that might have seemed ordinary in other hands became unforgettable under his performance. Audiences never knew exactly what to expect, which made his work compelling and unpredictable. Critics praised Hackman for his ability to inhabit every character fully, whether they were heroes, anti-heroes, or complex villains. This adaptability not only set him apart in Hollywood, but also contributed to his enduring appeal, making every project he touched a topic of conversation and admiration. Hackman retired from acting in 2009, citing health concerns and a desire for a quieter life. He and Betsy moved to New Mexico, where they lived a away from the public eye, enjoying simple pleasures in privacy. His last public appearance was in 2023 when he was seen walking through Santa Fe, frail but dignified, using a cane and leaning on Betsy for support. Despite leaving Hollywood, his presence remained commanding, reflecting a lifetime of discipline, artistry, and resilience. Friends and colleagues often remarked that even in retirement, Hackman carried himself with the same focus and grace that had defined his career. His retreat from public life made the mystery surrounding his and Betsy's final days even more poignant, leaving fans wondering what had occurred behind the closed doors of their home. The news of Hackman's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood, prompting an outpouring of tributes from colleagues and fans alike. Clint Eastwood, who directed and acted alongside Hackman in Unforgiven, described him as an unparalleled talent whose performances were always grounded and powerful. Morgan Freeman shared personal reflections on Hackman's professionalism and generosity, while Gwyneth Paltrow posted memories of their time working together, expressing heartbreak over his passing. For those who had known him closely, Hackman was more than a legendary actor. He was a mentor, a friend, and a source of inspiration. Their words highlighted the profound impact he had on others, both on screen and off, while also underscoring the void his absence would leave in the entertainment community. Family statements added a deeply personal layer to the story. Hackman's daughters, Elizabeth and Leslie, reflected on his devotion as a father and the role Betsy played in supporting him throughout his later years. They emphasized Betsy's care, noting how attentive she was to his health, always ensuring he stayed active and well. While the public admired Hackman for his cinematic achievements, his family mourned a husband, father, and grandfather whose absence left a profound emptiness. Their grief reminded everyone that behind the fame and accolades was a private life filled with love, routine, and dedication. Even in death, the bond between Hackman and Betsy remained central to understanding the complexity of their final days. The mansion itself offered clues that deepened the mystery. A space heater lay overturned, pills were scattered across the countertop, and two of the couple's pets were still alive while a third had died in a crate. These small details hinted at the couple's final days and the conditions inside the home, suggesting a timeline that investigators struggled to piece together. Every element of the scene, the open door, the state of the pets, and the arrangement of objects seemed to tell a fragment of the story, yet none provided a complete picture. Each observation became a critical puzzle piece, raising more questions than answers. For both law enforcement and the public, the mansion itself became a silent witness to events that remained unexplained, drawing intense scrutiny and speculation. Experts analyzing the bodies noted how environmental conditions could accelerate decomposition. Warm, dry air can cause skin to become leathery or stiff, which may explain the mummification observed in Hackman and Betsy. Based on these factors, it is believed that the couple had likely passed away for days, if not weeks, before discovery. The timeline suggested by the state of the bodies complicated efforts to determine the exact cause of death, making every small clue from the scene increasingly important. Investigators had to balance patience with meticulous analysis, as even minor details could shed light on the sequence of events. This scientific perspective highlighted just how unusual and challenging the case had become, keeping both authorities and the public captivated. Despite thorough inspections, authorities found no signs of forced entry, and both the fire department and gas company confirmed that the home was free of environmental hazards like carbon monoxide. Neither body showed obvious injuries, leaving no clear indication of foul play. Autopsies and toxicology reports were pending, creating a sense of suspense as investigators attempted to reconstruct the final days of Hackman and Betsy. Every detail, from the scattered pills to the positioning of objects in the home, was scrutinized for clues. The lack of immediate answers kept the case shrouded in mystery. Each piece of evidence seemed both important and elusive, deepening the intrigue and leaving both the public and investigators eager to understand how two seemingly healthy adults could die under such perplexing circumstances. Investigators began exploring multiple scenarios to explain the deaths. Could one of them have died first, leaving the other in distress? Was it an accidental overdose, a sudden health crisis, or an environmental factor yet to be identified? Each theory raised more questions than answers. The unusual combination of circumstances, the open door, scattered pills, overturned heater, and separated bodies, required authorities to carefully weigh each possibility. They knew that any assumption could mislead the investigation, so every clue was analyzed analyzed meticulously. The complexity of the case, combined with the high-profile nature of the individuals involved, made the mystery both captivating and deeply unsettling. Every unanswered question fueled public fascination, leaving audiences wondering what truly happened inside Hackman and Betsy's home. The open front door became one of the most puzzling elements of the investigation. Did someone enter or exit before authorities arrived? Or had Hackman and Betsy left it open themselves, perhaps feeling unwell or disoriented? This small detail fueled endless speculation, as it suggested multiple possibilities about the events leading up to their deaths. Investigators had to consider whether a visitor had been present or if the door's position was a clue to the timeline. Even the simplest aspects of the home suddenly became highly significant, potentially revealing who, if anyone, might have interacted with the couple during their final hours. The open door transformed from a minor observation to a central piece in a complex, mysterious puzzle. Hackman's daughter Elizabeth suggested that carbon monoxide might have played a role, drawing attention to the home's heating setup and the possibility of toxic fumes. While this theory was unconfirmed, it added another layer to the investigation, highlighting the difficulty of identifying the cause of death without complete information. Family Insight provided context and underscored the human side of the mystery, reminding authorities and the public that behind the headlines were real people grieving a husband, wife, and father. Every detail, from family observations to physical evidence, had to be considered carefully. With multiple plausible scenarios and no definitive answers, the investigation remained a delicate balance of science, intuition, and speculation. Jean Hackman remained remarkably active and healthy well into his later years. At 95, he maintained a routine that included Pilates and yoga, staying fit and engaged with life, while Betsy, at 63, watched over him attentively. Their seemingly good health raised even more questions about the suddenness of their deaths. How could a couple so active and attentive to their well-being die under such mysterious circumstances? The contrast between their vibrant lifestyles and the puzzling scene inside their home made the situation even more baffling. Investigators had to consider not only the physical evidence, but also the couple's habits, routines, and health history to make sense of what had occurred in their final days. Hackman's early life and career struggles shaped the resilience that defined him both on screen and off. At the Pasadena Playhouse, peers doubted his talent, predicting he would never succeed. Undeterred, Hackman took small roles and worked tirelessly to improve his craft. These formative years forged a relentless work ethic and determination that would carry him through Hollywood's most competitive environment. His early failures were never deterrents. Instead, they became lessons that fueled his drive to succeed. This determination, honed over decades of persistence, would eventually allow him to take on complex, iconic roles that would cement his legacy and leave an indelible mark on film history. Hackman's rise in Hollywood was defined by breakthrough roles that showcased his extraordinary talent. His performance in Bonnie and Clyde as Buck Barrow earned him an Oscar nomination, proving his ability to convey complex emotions with authenticity. He later starred in The French Connection, winning the Academy Award for Best Actor and cementing his place among cinema's elite. Hackman also surprised audiences by taking on the role of Lex Luthor in Superman, blending menace with unexpected humor, demonstrating his versatility. Each role allowed him to explore different facets of character, from gritty realism to playful villainy. His adaptability not only captured audiences' attention, but also earned him enduring respect from critics and colleagues, establishing a career that would influence generations of actors. Later in life, Hackman faced health challenges and accidents that shaped his decision to retire. At 60, he underwent angioplasty to prevent a heart attack, a procedure that reminded him of his mortality. In 2012, he was hit by a truck while riding a bicycle, sustaining minor injuries but reinforcing the fragility of life. These experiences, combined with his desire to focus on writing, painting, and spending time with Betsy, led him to step away from acting in 2009. Retirement allowed Hackman to enjoy a quieter, creative existence while still producing work on his own terms, including novel co-written with Daniel Lanahan. Even in retirement, he remained engaged, demonstrating the same determination and focus that had defined his acting career while embracing a life of reflection, creativity, and personal fulfillment. The mystery surrounding Jean Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's deaths remains unresolved, leaving fans, investigators, and the public with lingering questions. Autopsies and toxicology reports are still awaited, and every detail, from the open door to the pets, scattered pills, and mummified bodies, may hold a clue. Yet beyond the investigation, Hackman's legacy endures through his unforgettable performances, his dedication to craft, and the love he shared with Betsy and his family. The combination of mystery and admiration keeps his story alive in the minds of fans worldwide. Even as authorities continue their work, the tale of Hackman and Betsy serves as a poignant reminder that life, even one as remarkable as theirs, can be both extraordinary and unknowable, leaving a legacy that will be remembered for generations.